Welcome back to In Pursuit of Magic, where we explore the things that inspire us, connect us, and the magic we find along the way. I'm Matthew Medina, and today's guest is a true triple threat, a powerhouse vocalist, an incredible dancer, a seasoned Broadway performer who's been holding down one of the most beloved shows in New York. She's a longtime cast member of the hit Broadway musical Titanique, where she serves as a swing and dance captain, understudying the iconic roles of Celine Dion, Rose DeWitt-Bukater, and Molly Brown, having been with the show since its early off-Broadway days. She's one of the very few people who have been on this wild ride from the start. In addition to her theater work, she's the lead singer of the rock band Clyde Frog. She's recently made her feature film debut at the Cannes Film Festival and continues to light up stages across New York City with her incredible voice and magnetic stage presence. Please welcome Tess Marshall. Tess, thank you so much for being on.
Wow, thank you for that intro. That was very generous.
You have incredible resume. I mean, just seeing the things you're a
Oh,
part of, and it seems like you're having fun in everything you do, which is the most magical part.
so it is really, truly, that's the right word for it. Magical. It's really special. The last couple of years have been really good to me.
I could see, and can just imagine how inspiring that is for other performers and people who have a dream to get into performing and being creative. That could be. I
Totally.
mean, to take on so much and you're juggling a lot, and I've said it before, and other people have said it who have been on. It's kind of takes like an athlete to do weird and never happened before, but
There you are.
uh, but we'll pick up. Yeah, that was weird. It never happened before. I don't know why that was like a
Strange.
weird thing.
I don't know.
But we'll pick up from what I was saying. Like, it really
Yeah.
takes some athletic work to do everything you're doing, be prepared to jump into action, and you keep busy. But so I'm very curious in terms of first inspirations and getting into performing at all. How
Yeah.
old were you, and what do you think really inspired you to get into this field?
It's a great question. My mom is a singer, and I always grew up listening to her sing. And uh, she has this beautiful contralto range. I mean, she's just got the most warm, incredible sound. And so I remember like on beach vacations, family beach vacations, we would drive in the car. My brother and I would be in the back seat. And my mom's rule for me was that I wasn't allowed to sing the melody to anything on the radio. I would have to sing a harmony part. It was agonizing for those first couple years. I mean, I was probably like, I don't know, 6, 7 years old. Um, in the car, and she would just say, just try to find anything that isn't the melody. And she like really helped me develop my ear when she kind of had me trapped in a car for hours. Because it isn't fun. It isn't fun to not be good at something, but she really encouraged me to stick with it. And then it became really fun to sing. And I think that's when things kind of started to shift for me. I was always like the kid making up songs and holding my family captive and putting on shows and writing my own lyrics. And my brother would go, Tessie, please stop. And I'd be on my like 18th verse of some ridiculous song I was making up. But so I've always had a love for it. And my mom definitely helped me find it. And then when I was in elementary school, I played Annie in my 5th grade musical, curly red wig and all, and just absolutely got bit by the bug and fell in love with it. And I knew everybody's lines, and I would say everybody's lines if they forgot them. And I was just kind of obsessed with it. And then in church, I was in the church choir and did my church plays. And then I kind of took a pivot in middle school. I had a really, really amazing area that I grew up in for live music. There was just so much of it. And there was this school called the Uptown Music Collective that specialized in certificates for performance. So there was vocal performance, guitar, bass, drums, um, tech, elements. There was a writing class, music theory. And so I got my certificates in music theory and guitar and voice, and um, performed with them at the community arts center in my hometown for like thousands of people, like twice a year. I was so spoiled, and I didn't know it. Um, and I fell in love with rock music. Its specialization was all classic rock music. And it was through that kind of love and new lane that I met all of my band members of my rock band Clyde Frog. We've been together for almost 15 years now, which is crazy. But we all met there, and then we started playing at bars and outside at pavilions and band shells and birthday parties and retirement parties. And there were a couple of years there where I was playing like a gig 3 nights a week for like the entire year.
Wow.
It helped put me through college. We wrote 2 albums of original music. We were just like kids in a garage, literally a garage band. Um, and then we all kind of grew up and went in different directions. I pursued my BFA in musical theater in college. My 2 guitarists in the band both moved to Nashville. They're professional recording artists. One's a tour manager, studio manager at Starstruck Records, which is incredible. The other one, Dylan Rockoff, is his own solo recording artist. He's incredible. And it's pretty cool to see how passion from a little small town can kind of take you and send you all on your way. But I truly don't know that I would have known that I had a passion for live performance in that way that cut so deep unless I had been part of that school of music. It taught me so much, and I'm so grateful. And yeah, then I went to school for it and got spit out in New York City. And the rest is kind of history. Yeah,
Which is really incredible just because those early moments really kind of help define your trajectory and what
totally.
you're doing now. I mean, you have the rock band from early inspirations of that kind of music, but then also, of course, the live theater on top of, like you said, knowing everyone's lines in Annie is so important now.
So important. Well, especially as a swing, right? That brain has to be turned on all the time. Like you have to know absolutely everything that's happening on stage all the time. Because for me, at
Yeah,
least, I cover all of the women on stage and actually one of the men. So just being aware all the time of the whole picture and not just the one thing has been really helpful.
I can
Yeah.
imagine because there's a lot going on up there
There's a
that you have to
lot.
keep track
There's
of.
a lot going on up there. Yes.
And even with all the successes and the amazing moments, of course, everyone who's following a dream and trying to do what they love are going to hit those obstacles or closed doors or sometimes no responses at all. And how has that come upon your life, and how have you managed to kind of deal with those moments and not let it stop you and not let it put out your fire?
It's a really good question. And I like that. I like the way that you phrase that, not let it put out your fire, because that really is what this business requires. I mean, if you don't love it, there's no way you're staying in this madness. It's too unpredictable and creates so much insecurity financially, emotionally, relationally, identity wise. If you're not rooted in something else, it can be really disruptive to constantly be faced with rejection. So, um, for me personally, I have faith. I believe in God. I think if I didn't, I don't know how I would get out of bed in the morning. There's just too many variables in every day. For
Yeah.
me to think that I have control over all of that would be too much weight to bear. So, how I get through it is faith. And also that this desire in my heart and this passion was put there for a reason. I don't think that things kind of happen by accident. So, the fact that I still am in love with this thing, although it has shifted, there have been years where I've been like, I really just want to do the live music thing. I really just want to sing rock music. I really just want to write my own stuff. To, I really just want to do musical theater. To, I really just want to do TV. I've had things have shifted for me. Um, but that passion, that desire to perform and to use my voice and my body and my emotional gifts is something that just won't go away. And I think it's not by accident that it won't go away. So
Yeah.
that keeps me steadfast, because if it was going to go away under these conditions, logic serves that it probably should have gone away. There's too much. There's too many rejections to be faced and no's. And like you said, sometimes just no response at all. for it to make any sense to want to do this unless you really want to do it.
Absolutely, and I think it's called to you in these different areas. I mean, you talk about things shifting a bit, and I think it's just because you have so many different loves and passions,
Yeah.
which is also part of the importance, like you said, not defining yourself by one thing
Yeah.
is super, super important because I think in any kind of creative industry, especially, other people are gonna try to tell you who you are and what you are, and you kinda have to punch back and say, "No, this is who I am."
Yes. And in order to be able to punch back, you have to know who you are. And I think
Yeah.
that identity, a lot of times, there's a lot of identity crisis. I've seen it a lot with people I just absolutely adore and respect and admire in this industry because, like you said, there's so much of everyone telling you who you are, what you should do, what you can't do, and why. It's really easy to believe those things if you don't have a really rooted, centered place of, I know who I am and I know what I want. Um, and so I think finding identity outside of the industry is imperative. It is so important to have relationships and interests and people in your life who aren't living in the same chaos you have to live in, and circumstances outside of this constant whirl of what'll it be today? Will I get a yes? Does anybody want me? This is
Sure.
why this last year I went through a big life change. I was kind of up in the air for the first time in a while. I kind of felt like I want to be in control of something. And in an industry that doesn't afford that a lot, I thought, okay, I'm going to have to create my own thing to feel in control of this. Cause I felt like for a really long time, you know, you look at shows, you study musical theater, and you look at things that other people have created and you go, I'm this in that, or I fit here in that. And I got really exhausted at the prospect of having to fit into everybody else's boxes. So I wrote an original album that I'm releasing this summer that I'm so excited about.
That's
That's
awesome.
mine. I've created it. It's mine. I produced it with a friend of mine who's in my rock band who works in Nashville.
Awesome.
He co-wrote it with me. We're releasing it this summer. It feels so precious and special and rare, and it's something I really needed as an artist in New York who's constantly, for lack of a better term, at the mercy of what other people are creating. Um, and in Titanique's instance, thank God, because I feel like it's just an absolute perfect fit for me. But it is really exhausting to have to feel or to feel all the time like you have to fit into something someone else is creating. And I
Yeah.
feel a lot of freedom in creating my own thing that's just mine. It's just mine. I made it. It's exactly what I want it to be. Nobody else can touch it. It's mine.
Well, first of all, congratulations, because that's incredible,
Thank you.
and it's a big feat, and I think it's also it takes a lot of courage to go and make something on your own and put yourself out there, put your heart in it, and say that this is mine.
Yeah.
Not everyone has the courage to take that step or even, like, start it up, and you have gotten so far with it. So, I think that's super important. I was gonna ask
Thanks.
advice you would give to others following a dream, but I think you said it. I think it's having different passions, creating stuff for yourself,
Yeah.
and not letting other people define you is so, so, so important.
Yeah.
And,
And
you
let
know,
the
to
record show, I was always so annoyed by everyone saying, make your own art, create your own thing. Cause I was so
yeah,
upset at the idea of having to be everything. Oh, not only do I have to act and dance and sing and play guitar and play piano and read music and be cool and kind and never have a bad time in front of anybody else. So everybody thinks I'm like the cool girl. Now I also have to be a writer and an orchestrator. It's exhausting, but I missed the point. So I want to clarify because the point is whatever lights you up is the magic that lives inside of you. And if you just follow that, and sometimes it's hard to kind of dilute and figure out and get to the root of it, that thing is what makes you the most marketable, is what makes you the most interesting, and it lights you up in turn. That is what the world needs from you. The thing that you are afraid to do is probably the thing that is calling you to write it or make it or develop it or say it out loud. It's the scariest thing is it's very vulnerable, like you said, but it has brought me just so much joy and I feel so alive in this moment of making something in a way that I never thought I would. And I kind of, when I decided I wanted to write this album, I rolled my eyes at myself because I thought, ugh, this is what everybody has always said. And I've been so resistant. And I think I get it for the first time. But it wasn't like writing a musical. I thought that's what everybody meant. Like, write your own parts, write your own parts. And it was like, I don't have any desire to write a musical. I don't want to write a musical. But I did want to write an album. And when I finally like got to the root of it, I had so much fun. It was so fulfilling. I think that's what everyone's talking about. Fill your own cup.
Absolutely, and finding your joy,
Yes.
I don't know if part of that hesitation also in getting started was this idea. I know I've been through it where it's like, "Well, who really needs this? Like, there's so many people doing this. What am I gonna do that's so different? Why would people care?" And if I kept listening to that voice, I never would have started this podcast.
Right.
And like you said, it's brought me joy. Like just doing it, getting to connect with people, and giving them a space to tell their stories, I think has brought me so much happiness and joy. And
Yeah.
so, like you said, it's so important. And the other stuff is not the point. That's not the point of doing it.
Right. It's not the point. The point is to do it because you want to do it. And that will mean so much to exactly who it's supposed to reach. And the people it's not supposed to reach don't need it. So they probably won't be touched by it. But the people who are supposed to be
Yeah.
touched by it will be touched by it. It's just kind of the law of order. It's how it works. I'm with you on that
Yeah.
100%. And I'm sorry in advance to young people in this industry listening to this because the advice that everyone was giving you, saying, write your own thing, like they might not be giving you enough context, but it is true. It
Absolutely.
is true.
Yeah, and maybe it's also write and create the things that make you happy.
Hmm.
Like do stuff that brings you joy, which I think is so
Yeah.
important. And I think one of those things for you is Clyde Frog.
Yeah.
How does your experience as a rock singer influence your approach to musical theater and vice versa?
This is one of those things that's been so kismet for me in my career, in my musical theater career specifically. I think over the last couple of years, and specifically with Titanique, um, I have stopped trying to, like I said, fit in specific boxes and specific worlds, and instead have decided to market myself as all of the things that I love the most. So, like, I am a tall girl. I am almost 5'10. I am a rock singer. I am kooky. I'm weird. I have this like weird little gremlin that lives in me, and I say weird things and I hold a weird posture. And for the longest time, I tried to present the way I thought the industry needed me to present in order to book whatever the job was, job A to job Z, all the time, trying to like cram myself
Yeah.
into this box. And again, as a really tall person, it was never going my way. Put me in a Leduc, I'm 6'1". Like, you need a specific thing for that? Fine. So I thought instead of trying to hide anymore, and also as you age, I think you just become less tolerant of shrinking. You just do. You just become more comfortable in your own skin. Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
Um, but so I started to try to just kind of market myself as all of the things that I loved about myself the most. And I love that I make people laugh. And I love that I'm tall and wear high heels and feel like sexy and confident and don't shrink. And I love to sing rock music. So I just started kind of, anytime I would sing at anything, I would sing a pop song. I'm not singing musical theater at a cabaret. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I love musical theater. I want to sing a rock song. If you don't give me parameters, that's what I'll be doing. So I just started showing up as myself and the things that I wanted to sing and the things I wanted to do. And funny enough, it was like a switch just like flipped. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, she's the pop girl. She sings the rock music. And I ended up going in for Titanique. It took me a long time to book it. It was a different role. I was in for different roles over a period of a couple of months. And finally, like the right position opened up and I came through. But that to me felt like, marrying my college degree, the BFA that cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars with this rock element and pop stylistic gold in the catalog of Celine Dion just got married. And the weirdest parts of me, right, as a comedian, just this beautiful union and marriage. And it really felt truly kismet, divine, perfect timing. And then to have been with it as long as I have been with it has just been really humbling and beautiful and special to me. And then when Titanique closed off Broadway, I went and did Almost Famous with Tom Kitt and Cameron Crowe and Brian Perry, which was awesome, and singing that catalog of music. I mean, from classic rock, it's just been really. I feel very fulfilled by the things that I'm going in for in the musical theater world now, in a way that I didn't when I was going in for like She Loves Me. No offense, beautiful show, and Guys and Dolls, and it just doesn't light me up the way this stuff does. So I feel very, very fortunate. But it did take an adjustment internally to go, stop hiding, just show up the way you are. Just show up as you.
Do you think part of that experience of not hiding so much anymore and finding your comfortability in who you are and showing that off helped, I don't know, you're connecting with the shows you're a part of and the cast you're working with, and just in your performances in general, do you just feel more connected on a molecular level?
Yeah, I think when you're showing up without a mask on, in whatever way that is, right? Whether it's I'm trying to sing differently or I'm trying to look smaller, shorter, or I'm trying when you're not in a mask, you're going to come as you are. And I think that's where the most authentic relationships are formed. It's where the most authentic relationship with yourself is born. It's where you're able to step into roles most authentically, right? Taking on a character's stuff is a lot easier when you're coming from a place of, well, I know who I am. What parts of me can service this and what parts of me can take a seat tonight? And if you're not sure where that line is because you're not comfortable with yourself, I would imagine all of that is harder.
Absolutely, and I can imagine someone in your position who steps into different roles, it's like lighting up different parts of yourself depending on the night and depending on what's required of you. And just
I
thinking
love
about it,
that.
I mean,
That's
you've been with
that's true.
Titanique for so long, and having to know all these different roles and kind of being ready on a dime. What has it been like to go from such a original cast member to, like, opening night on Broadway?
A dream come true, and that cannot be overstated. Just a dream come true. This show provided me with a home for a really long time in New York. I mean, the dream as a theater actor in New York is to live and work in New York City, and I know that sounds really simple, and if there's anyone listening to your podcast who is outside of this world, that sounds foreign, right? Of course you wanna live and work in the same place, but the amount of jobs in New York City versus the amount of actors in New York City just does not add up. So lots of wonderful people are on tour and in Arkansas and in Connecticut, and because that's where the work is. So to have had a job in New York City for such a long time has been a dream in and of itself. To be able to do a show that I felt gave me a mirror to actually see myself in, right? Like the weirdest parts of me. Nobody has ever uttered a word about the fact that I'm in a 2.5 inch LaDuca as the ingenue in a musical on Broadway, which is just so like I could cry for the little girl who was 15 years old and 5'10, crying that she was a head and shoulders taller than every boy in her class. And the fact that that just has not been part of my journey with this show is huge for like the little girl in me. And to be able to do that on Broadway, to be invited to do that on Broadway is very, 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 very special to me.
Yeah, and you could feel it just, I mean, I see it in so many of the people that are part of this show, but I especially see the energy and the light that comes off you in just talking about the show and enjoying what you're doing, and it comes through, and I think that's part of the beauty and the magic of that.
Thank you.
And, you being part of the show for so long, one of those roles is Celine Dion, and it's a
Mhm.
larger than life role that requires both comedy and the vocals. So what has been the most fun for you or the challenging part of taking on that role and having to fill in as the icon?
As the icon, truly as the icon. In 2 rights for Celine Dion and also Marla Mantell.
Yeah.
Um, it amazing, it's so special. At first, I remember feeling very, very scared, very nervous because there are a lot of elements at play in the role of Celine. There's improv, there is audience participation, which is unpredictable, and there is the vocal impression of one of the greatest singers of all time. Like, talk about pressure.
Yeah.
Um, as time has gone on, it has just become an absolute joy. So much fun. But in the beginning, I remember like feeling like I wanted to throw up. Literally, I had my Celine debut in September 2023. I joined the company, I think like August 23rd, 2023, and debuted as Celine September 7th. So like fast. And I remember being at brunch with my family. My family had come into town to see me, and my grandma was sitting there, and she's like in her late 80s. And she goes, "Honey, you have to eat something." I turned to her, I said, "Grandma, I can't eat. I feel like I'm going to throw up." And she turned to my parents and she said, "Is this good for her?" He was like, she was watching my dream come true and I was like sick to my stomach. It was just kind of part of the process. But once I got over it and did it once and then twice and then three times and then four times, um, like now we're into like, I don't know, the 80s or 90s. Like it just is it's so fun. But there's a lot at play there.
For
Yeah.
sure. And I can imagine it's both challenging and makes that more fun depending on the night and depending on how you're feeling.
Yes, and depending on the audience, like sometimes the audience
Yes.
is really game to play and sometimes the audience is there to like be removed and see a show, and both of those things are okay, but it changes Celine's show in a way that I haven't experienced it changes my show as Molly Brown or Rose or the background vocalist. But as Celine, her scene partner really is the audience. So it can be very different night to night or
Yeah.
a Tuesday night versus a Saturday night, you know?
Absolutely. And then, on the other side of that coin, you do have Rose, who is so funny in such a different way.
Hmm.
And in some ways is like what they call the straight man
Hmm.
in a lot of the jokes.
Hmm.
And so how is that for you to have to step into that role and kind of have to be in the middle of the chaos?
Yeah.
Because I know everyone breaks during this show at
Yes.
some point
I
because
know.
you can't not.
I
So what is that
know.
like for you?
I know. We always try. The Rose track is specifically difficult to not break with Jim Parsons screaming in your face. And I always say Rose is the heart of the show. Rose is the heartbeat of the show. We are invested in the show because of her story. And Celine is invested in this story because of Rose. So Rose provides this kind of heartbeat, but everything is happening to her for a very long time until she kind of takes the reins towards the end of the show. So it is kind of fun to play ragdoll and just be quite literally tossed around, and you'll have to come see the show to see what I mean. But it is fun to kind of play the ingenue and play the girly girl who just is like going with the wind until all of a sudden this is my story. Um, but it's a very different experience from any other track. I would say Rose feels the most acting wise, the most rooted, dropped in, grounded. We're in a Chekhov play. Everybody else is living to the fullest. And then that makes it all the more fun too when she does get the little winks or the little nods that are, she doesn't know she's being funny, but that girl is funny. It's really rewarding because of the way that everything else kind of sets it up. Um, I just love Rose. I love playing Rose. I think it is so much fun. And I always say Rose can't lose because she literally never leaves stage. So every scene, she's like on again, on again, on again, water break, on again, water break. And everybody else kind of pops in and out.
It's very true. And that brings me to the question of how are you able to stay on like for so long? And on top of juggling like different roles in your head, how do you keep track of that chaos?
Specifically, like tracking each character.
Yeah.
Tracking sheets. And this is the thing about being a swing. Every swing has a bit of a different process depending on if you're a visual person, if you like to have things sequenced and written down, if you like to do things by video, or an information girl. So I like to have everything written out. Um, and I just drill them. I drill my tracking sheets until I'm completely memorized to the point where it's like, where does my heart beat now? Enter underpass, go to 0 on this line, move from 0 downstage, land right of the speaker, move to 2 for choreo, back to 0, exit stage left. Like it's just in there. Um, and I will do that for every tracking sheet until it's just like that. memorized. I know other people have like note cards or they like to take them with them backstage. So they have them on them if they need to reference something. I might do that for, a character here or there, but Rose, there's no time to look at a tracking sheet backstage. So it really does just have to be memorized. So it's like lines. It's like memorizing lines or memorizing lyrics. It's like on stage left 8 for River Deep Runs is like just part of my Rose track.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's a talent that maybe you had from an early age, like learning other people's lines.
Maybe. You know what? Maybe I don't give myself enough credit. Because when I was offered this job as the swing off Broadway, first of all, I didn't really know I was going in for the swing. I thought I was in for an understudy, maybe an onstage track. And then they offered me the swing and I said yes, of course. But then I called my agent and I was like, I don't know how to be a swing. I don't know how to swing. What are they, what? And fully it was trial by fire because I just had to learn how to do it on the fly. But I was like on Google, like how to be a swing on Broadway and like would find things on TikTok and on Instagram and people would be like, here's my system. I have like a whole notebook of stuff of like how to be a swing. Like, so I'm a very studious person. I don't know, maybe that helped, but I definitely didn't think I had the know how to do the job. I just figured it out.
I think that was the trick, just jumping in and
Yeah.
figuring it out,
Yeah.
which is probably what most people have had to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, just thinking about it as someone who has no idea what that's like, it's hard to wrap my head around. Like wow, you are doing a lot and you are prepped for a lot. And it's also funny how you find humor and inspiration in what you're doing and in all the little moments. I mean, you put up a lot of funny videos of what you do in your dressing room
Thank you.
and how you spend the time when people are on stage. And I thought it was funny the other day. I think it was raining, so it was leaking in your room. And what's so funny about that is recently I saw a headline at, I think, Chicago.
Uh-huh.
The Titanic Museum was flooding on the same date that the Titanic
Oh,
sank.
no.
And I was like,
God has a sense of humor.
yeah.
Oh,
So once
no.
I saw that video of yours, I was like, well,
Um,
maybe it's a good
I know.
omen,
I said, the ship might actually be sinking. It was a super rainy day in Manhattan. Yeah, we were like, what is that sound? We opened the bathroom door. It was like, just like, but they got it. They got it right. They fixed it. But whoo, it was, yeah, pretty, pretty funny.
My gosh, I can only
Oh my
imagine.
gosh.
And there's so many different moving parts to any kind of musical or Broadway show. And even though this run is wrapping up in July, what is the chances of maybe a cast album recording happening?
You
Do
know,
you think?
I'm not privy to that information. I wish I was because I have the same question. Um, I personally would love to record a cast album. I think that people want a cast album. I mean, with the voices in this show, like who wouldn't want to hear that? But I'm really hopeful. I'm hoping that that's something that gets to happen, but I really don't know the ins and outs of that. I don't know really how that works. It's my first Broadway show, so I'm in it with you. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, together.
Well, I'm crossing my
Me
fingers
too.
and that there's a release and like a signing at the drama bookshop.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We should do that. Here's hoping.
You're also the dance captain,
Mhm.
which I just wanted to ask exactly what that entails for a production and kind of a piece of advice or lesson you've learned from your time being a dance captain and a swing.
Yeah. Lots of lessons. I've learned lots in real time. It's also my first time, off Broadway was my first time dance captaining the show. So coming into the Broadway production, having already dance captained this same show, definitely took a lot of the um, initial question marks of the equation out of it because I know the show. Now things have been restaged and reset, and there's lots of new choreo, but for the most part, there's 11 bodies on stage, and I know where they are. But being a dance captain essentially is to maintain the integrity of the show that was choreographed and set by our choreographer, Eleanor Scott. And I note the show once a week, so I'll go out into the house if I'm not on, and I will note the show and just make sure that everyone is doing what was set by the choreographer. So that's everything from um, being on the right number, um, in their place, or being if they're out of their light. It's my job to make sure that they are told that they're not in their light. Sometimes you can't feel it as an actor. Sometimes, you know, you're 2 steps to the right. Um, and then I pass on those notes to the company members and just, make sure that the show stays looking how it was intended to look.
Wow. Yeah, so that's another, like, huge important job that you've taken on, especially with this
It's a
show.
big job. It's a big job. It does help that I cover so many of the tracks. So a lot of that information is already downloaded because I have to do it sometimes. Um, and I think that's kind of it's most common for a swing or an understudy of some sort to be the dance captain. It just kind of works out that way. And in my experience, it's been really helpful just because, if Rose looks like she's out of her light, but I know, she's supposed to be on 5 because I don't have to like consult my stage right on my iPad. I'm like, no, she's not on 5. So it kind of saves a little time, but I'm still, as the show is still fresh, we just opened and we're in like week 3 now of runs. There's still things that I'm trying to download and make sure that I have right. And so there is definitely like a learning curve and a process to getting all of that information like the back of my hand, but just take some time.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's another hat that you get to put on and kind of
It's
try
another
out,
hat.
you know,
It's another hat.
switching from theater to doing the rock band and your feature film, which debuted at Cannes with called Beauty of Poverty.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that movie and how has your background in theater and performing um, kind of influenced how you take on being on film
Yeah.
and vice versa?
It's a great question. Yeah, thank you. Um, I love acting for the camera. I think it's so it itches a part of my brain that I think theater doesn't. Um, Theater I love because the the chance to do something over and over and over and over and over again and still find things that are new and create something that feels machine like while also being this living breathing thing is a really unique experience. It's amazing. In TV and in film, I absolutely love the idea of laboring over 5 pages of dialogue for an entire day, making sure it's exactly right, exactly what the director wants, lit the right way, framed the right way, and then never seeing those pages again, throwing them in the trash can. I love that. I think it's so fulfilling. We want to get it right, immortalize it, be done with it. That just is a completely different experience and really tickles my brain. I love it. That film was a really, really cool, opportunity. I shot it in LA, um, and we didn't know that it was gonna be eligible for Cannes Film Festival, so the fact that we ended up going was truly felt like I felt like I was being punked. I got an email that was like, "You're invited," and I said, "This is fake." And I called the producer. I said, "This isn't real, right? I'm not invited to Cannes Film." She's like, "No, you're invited to Cannes Film Festival, bitch. Like, get on a plane. We're going." Um, which was insane. So we did. We premiered at Cannes, and I kind of can't believe it. It was amazing, but it was a whirlwind. I was in LA for a week or 5 or 6 days, and saw friends, shot a couple scenes in this movie, flew home back to Titanique off Broadway because I had taken a couple days off to go do it, and then couple like 6 months later, got this email that was, "You're invited," from our producing team, and then I flew to Cannes 2 weeks later.
That's incredible, and it seems like the movie itself has a connection to the industry and that kind of experience. So
Absolutely.
for you, like, what did that mean, and how do you view that in terms of the reality of what this industry is like?
Yeah, I think it was totally a pinch me moment, a dream come true for sure. I think it's, having the dream of being on Broadway is like, it feels silly to say it out loud until you feel close enough that it might actually happen. Premiering a movie at Cannes Film Festival was never something I even thought to really utter out loud. It was like, I want to be in movies. That was kind of as far as it got. So the idea of getting to like walk the red carpet at Cannes Film Festival for a movie that I was in just felt beyond. Um, and really, really special because it is this other love that I have so much of acting on film and acting on camera. And I think this industry is so now especially, um, all one thing. Everybody does everything. So the crossover element is really cool and important. Um, and I want to do more TV films. So the fact that I got to do this in such a gigantic way right out of the gate for my first feature film was just really an honor and very exciting and felt fake. And I hope I get to do it again. I hope that someday I'll get to be in something else that, that goes back to Cannes, France, because it's so beautiful there. It's absolutely beautiful. And it was just buzzing with industry people. I mean, everyone who's there for those several weeks is just there for the festival. So it was like schmoozing at lunches and talking over tilapia, like sitting by the water. It was crazy. It was so crazy. It was so special. So special.
Part of the beauty of that and that experience also is kind of being surprised by yourself and what you're capable of achieving and the
Yeah.
places you're capable of going.
Yeah.
And I hope that keeps happening for you because I think you keep surprising yourself your entire career.
Well,
And I think
thank
that's just going to
you.
continue to happen.
Thank you for saying that. I
So,
really appreciate that.
yeah, I think it's true. And I think part of it is you tap into different parts of yourself. And because of that, you never know where that may lead.
Yeah.
And you're working with good people, you're enjoying what you're doing. That all ends up showing. And people like to bring on people and work with people who are like that, who have that passion and that love. And I
Thank
think it
you.
takes you far.
Thank you.
Um, Part of that is like your connection with Titanique for so
Yeah.
long. What do you think has been the most rewarding or surprising part of being part of this widely creative and beloved show?
The most rewarding part. Wow. Well, the people, I mean, this show has such a great track record of hiring people who are just so out of their minds, crazy, kooky, weird, fun, kind people, which I think is a really unique experience. I think that, okay, I'm going to say it. I think a lot of funny people are really tortured individuals. Um, I think that's just how it goes. Comedians are the full gamut. You just don't know what you're going to get, which makes
Yeah.
them really emotionally intelligent and tuned in and complicated, right? And so getting to work with so many people who have just been like so game and so kind and so happy to be doing this show has been really, really special. And we have to talk about Connie and Marla and Ty, who wrote this thing, because talk about something that's born out of, I have a passion for this. I want to make myself laugh. This is fun. The world is on fire and I want to make something that feels good. So they did. And then it was the little engine that could for 9 years. And now it's on Broadway. It's like to be attached to something that lives and breathes all of the things that I'm trying to kind of embody in my career and the choices that I make and the projects I work on is just it's such an honor. It's been so special.
Yeah, and it's funny, like without giving major spoilers about the end of the
Yeah.
show, uh, the show keeps finding new life and keeps being brought back.
Yeah.
And that's part of the magic of it too. It's so beloved to the point where when it was coming to Broadway, it already had such a fan base
Yeah. It really did.
and very loyal fan base. I mean, I've seen people say, "Oh, I've gone for every show since it opened," and
Yeah.
I'm like,
We've had
"Wow."
like we have we call them Thai staniques, because they're just stands of the show. They just love it so much. I don't know if you know Joanne, but Joanne has seen our show over 500 times.
Wow.
Bree, McKenna. We have like all of these wonderful people who just like really show up and just love this thing. And I think it's tangible. There is something just left of center about this show that welcomes people who are comfortable living in this, like, yeah, we're all weird and kooky crazy. And I find that funny because this person is unhinged, or this person, watching Marla do improvs every night based on things that just make her laugh is so universally funny. Watching someone laugh at themselves is there's nothing better, right? So like when you're talking about commercially successful Broadway shows, that's a rarity. We don't get to see that on stage in a commercial way as often as the people who keep coming back would like to see it. So I think it's really cool. I think we have found our audience, but our audience has found this. And now that it's got the platform that it does and it's getting the flowers I think it deserves for Connie, Marla, and Ty, I hope even more people will have that experience and they'll just go, I can't get enough of this thing that just makes me feel joy and alive. And I laugh, like belly laugh. I remember when I saw it the first time, I left and my stomach hurt. I laughed so hard and I could not remember the last time I found something that funny the whole time, right? Not just a couple
Yeah.
moments, the whole show. But maybe I'm biased. I don't know.
No, I mean, I went to first preview night and my face was hurting from smiling the entire
Yeah,
time.
it's
I caught
fun.
myself leaning forward in my seat, like waiting for what's gonna happen next. What's the next joke?
Yeah, I feel the same. It's for us. They wrote it for us.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the magic of that. It's just such a joyous, fun, safe
Yeah.
space where the entire world outside disappears, and you don't find that with every show, unfortunately. There's some where you're like, oh, another song, okay, or
And
it's dragging a little bit, or
And not every
but
show is,
yeah,
different types of entertainment for different types of experiences for sure. Like not everything is meant to make you escape. Some things are meant to make you think and sit in uncomfortable things
yeah,
and meant to go have an emotional experience or, you know, ask more questions. And this is just like you said, it feels like a reprieve from everything outside the building for 100 minutes. And it's filled with love and joy. And that to me is like, that's what I want to do more of. That's what I like to go see. I can't wait to go see Schmigadoon. I'm so excited. I just
yeah.
like can't wait to go see it. I've been hearing wonderful things. I'll have to go on a day off sometime, but I'm just like I'm lit up currently by things that live in that world that are just come escape with us, have a good time, then go back to your real life that's complicated and difficult, you know?
Yeah, and I think it just lightens your load a little
Yeah.
bit and helps you gain another perspective. I keep thinking of Titanique as the show that both leaves you wanting more, but also leaves you feeling satisfied at the same time.
Can you write a review, please? That's good.
Absolutely.
Great headline. That's good.
And my last two questions that I love to ask people is where do you find magic in your life, whether it's in part of your career or outside of it? And how do you hope to create magic for others?
Ooh. I find magic in um Amy Poehler's Good Hang podcast. I love it so much. I'm a podcast girl. I love hearing about other people's stories and hearing them talk about them in a casual way. I think it's really special. Just like feels like magic to me because it's these people with these incredible lives, crazy stories, huge spotlight on their life, and they're just like speaking like people. I just love it. I find magic in animals. I love dogs so much. I want to be a dog mom so bad. I cannot wait to get a dog. Don't know when it's going to happen. Don't ask me, but I cannot wait. And my family, my relationships with my friends and family that don't have anything to do with the ups and downs of my career. And currently, in finding magic being on Broadway in New York City. It's very
Yeah.
special. And I hope to create magic for other people through kindness that maybe sometimes is not deserved, but kindness, because I think the world needs more of it. Bringing them joy and magic through performances at Titanique if I have the pleasure of performing for them, and sharing my faith because I think we all could recalibrate to not having to be in control of everything all the time and the weight and the pressure that brings. And so I like to share that with everyone, regardless of if they're feeling like they're a light person or they're bogged down by something, because I think it's just good perspective to not have to be in the driver's seat of your life all the time to feel successful or worthy or important.
Absolutely. And I think you're succeeding. I think you're a magic maker. And I want to thank you for sharing your light. And I'm so happy you said kindness because I have met plenty of people who are nice,
Mm.
but not everyone is kind.
There's a difference. There really is a
Yeah.
difference. Motivation
So
for
thank you
sure.
for being kind and
Thank
sharing
you
your
for
magic
being
and your light.
kind, and thank you for inviting me on. I'm so happy we got to do this. It's so nice to meet
Me
you.
too. I was very excited to have you on, and I would love for you to do the outro. I normally say, everyone out there listening, go out there and do some magic.
Okay.
So I would love for you to just say your name and say the same.
Okay. I'm Tess Marshall, and everyone out there listening, go out there and do some magic.
You heard her. And go see
And go
Titanique
see
through
Titanique!
July.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.